All right. So last time we did the backtesting series, we left off at, I'm not sure which pair we did, but anyways, we're at 37.6% win rate now. We've got about 200 trades taken so far, and I believe in 2016 we are up 55 R until now. So let's continue with the next pair for now. All right. So last time we did USD JPY. We're going to do EuroCAD now. See where that takes us. We've had 2 or 3 losing pairs in a row, I believe. So let's see what EuroCAD ends up doing. All right. First trade that we see here is that short position over there. Very simple and very clear short position. Follows the rules, right? Very simple rules. You got a low, a high, and a lower low. You could take this one. This would be a safer option. This one would have a higher probability of winning, but we're not taking that. And in this case, that leads to a loss, which is fine. That's what I'm okay with because I like to be a little bit more aggressive, which in this case, like I said, leads to a loss. Would have been a valid trade here as well. Let's see what we get. Looks like we might have a new long position over here. There's a very, very small imbalance. Well, it's actually, yeah, there's a tiny imbalance there. So it's a little aggressive, to be honest with you. It's valid for me. Low, high, break structure to the upside, small imbalance over there. Like I said, this is very aggressive because of the small fair value gap. So it's something that I will take, but I do understand if you were to stay out of that trade. That ends up, it did tap us in and ends up hitting. Let's see what it does. Take profit. All right. Moving on to the next trade. So far, not really seeing anything. That looks like a valid long, to be honest. Let's wait for price to retrace a little bit more. See until it hits the 0.5. There we go. Place that on there. And this is one that I will delete because it got so close to my entry and then pretty much hit target, hit TP. So we're going to get rid of that one. All right, let's move on. This is one that I missed. Actually, I probably priced forward a little bit too fast, but this is a valid trade that would have either hit break even, because this could have been a candle that went down and then went up. Let me actually go to the 1 hour real quick. I think that would have hit break even, and otherwise it would have been a loss. Anyway, I missed that trade because I played price forward a little bit too fast there. Let's move on. Not really getting a proper break here, so I'm not looking for a short just yet. A lot of wicks here. Sideways price action. Really nothing to see right now. Do forgive me, by the way, if you can hear my space bar. I accidentally messed up my keyboard, so now if I press space bar, you can really clearly hear it. So I do apologize for that. All right, we got a new short position here. Very simple position. See, wait until it retraces a little bit. It does. There we go. Going to delete that trade. It got close to entry, pretty much hit target. So there's a new trade that formed right away. Let's wait for price to retrace to the 0.5, which it does. Perfect. Let's throw that on. There we are. See what happens. I was going to say if it goes lower, I'm going to delete it, which it did. So we're going to delete that trade. Move on to the next one. A lot of very aggressive trades. You can take these small trades too, by the way. If you want, you can take these very aggressive little trades. They are a little bit low probability. Trades like these, obviously. But they are valid, to be honest. Because if you look at it, low, high, lower, low, imbalance. So they are valid trades. It's just a little bit aggressive. All right. Let's move on. This is actually a reversal trade right here, but you don't really see a too convincing break to the upside. Also, there was no fair value gap. I do think this would have been a win in this case that we missed, but that's all right. And this was also really not clear structure because you're kind of playing sideways within that range. This is a little bit more clear, very clear break to the other side, indicating a reversal trade. So let's see what happens there. I'm going to place my order on like so. And if it takes too long to get to the entry, I'm going to delete it. Give it a little bit more. Yeah, okay, I'm going to delete it now because it got fairly close to my entry as well. Hit my break even level. I'm going to delete that. Make sure to zoom back in so I don't start zooming out all of a sudden, which a lot of people do. A lot of people go from this to this and then all the way to that. It's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that that is consistent as well. Wait for price to retrace a little bit more before we place that order on. Okay, never comes back. See if there's any questions real quick. Hold on. I saw. Oh, sure. Said, how you doing on the first one? I'm all right. I'm all right. How are you, man? How you doing? I'm feeling good. And FX replay is lagging like usual. Pretty much always does that. All right. Let's see. We can either take this one from here or you can take it from here. This is a lot more aggressive, to be honest. So if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can take them from the more recent highs. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, you'll take them from the pretty much the more conservative highs, right? The higher highs. In this case, we'll be a little bit more conservative. Place it on there. Whoops. Let's see. All right, ends up not hitting our entry. We're going to delete that because it took too long to even get to our entry price. Very sideways price action on this pair so far. This is a valid trade, but it looks like it might have hit break even actually. Yeah, okay, we're not taking that because it got close to entry. And after getting close to entry, it hit break even. And as you guys know, that's when I pretty much always delete my trades. See what Sugar said. He's fast as fuck, yeah. In this case, ends up being a winning trade. That's all right. We missed out on that. A lot of sideways price action, I'll tell you that. Play price forward a little bit because it's not really interesting. All right, you get a new trade over here. Let's see what happens. Let's place that on real quick. And it ends up being a close miss. Deleting that. Moving on. It would have been a, well, no, it would not really have been a valid trade. You see how you don't really get a body closure above? That's why I wouldn't take that trade. If you get a body closure, you'll take that trade, but not in this case. All right, let's move on. We're in June, month 6 of the year. We do get a trade here, actually. Let's wait for price to retrace a little bit more, and it does. Throw that on there. Boom, there we go. And that's a missed trade. Got close to entry, hit break or hit target pretty much, or got very close at least. We do get a short trade right after, and that's this one over here. Let's throw that on. And if you find this difficult to see, it's pretty much low, high, lower, low. And yeah, if you zoom out, you could say, well, it's still within that range, but I'm not zooming out. I'm just focusing on what's in front of me, and what I see here is pretty much this, so that's why I'm taking it. All right, there we go. That's a win. Actually forgot to name these, this would have been a win, this would have been a loss. Oh shit, that was an accident. Here we go, that's better. All right, and it's like I said, it's a lot of sideways price action right now. Really nothing going on except for just sideways movement. And when it's this hard to see structure, I usually just don't even look at it when I'm doing my analysis. I'll just brush over it real quick. See this? This is a decent trade. It's coming out of a sideways price action though. And we're deleting that. Moving on. Boom. Here we go. So yeah, not a lot going on this pair so far. It looks like we might have missed this trade over here, which would have been a, well, that would have been almost impossible to catch anyways, to be honest. So that's all right. All right, let's see. And then sometimes your frequency on a pair might be very low. You might get a very slow pair when it's, I'm just realizing now, did we even take that win? Did I even count? Or did that end up being a break even? Oh, that was a break even. I thought that was a win, but that was a break even actually. So let me quickly change that. That's my bad. I thought that trade over there was a winning trade. The short, but never mind. Let's see. All right, really nothing going on right now. All right, we have a valid trade over here. Looks like we might be a little bit late, but let's see what happens. And I feel like a fixed replay might be lagging again. Well, that would have been a break even, but a fixed replay is lagging. Does that count? Okay, that counts as a... I never do this, but I'm going to do this once because it's clearly a fixed replay that's lagging, but I'll go back and we'll redo that because it's clearly a fixed replay's fault. I actually never use that option and I don't recommend you use it either. But in this case, it's clearly on FX replay. There we go, break even. Like I said, I don't really suggest using that option because that's actually a valid trade that we missed out on over there. But no, I don't recommend using that option because you don't want to mess with your results, obviously. Looks like a nice long position, a little bit big, but it's valid. Let's see, wait for it to come back first before it actually, okay. We can market order into that trade because it's below the entry price. Market order. Ends up being a break even. And that brings us to September. All right. Got a valid trade over here. And that ends up being a winning trade. Here we go. There's no imbalance in the following structure, so we're not taking that trade over there. Never really got a body closure here, so we're not taking that long position either. Moving on, we're in October, November now. Oh shit. I don't know what happened there, but halfway through November, we're getting a small trade. Let's see if it retraces it. It does not. It's a lot of sideways movement right now. Not really seeing a valid trade here either, because that's just sideways. I think it would have ended up being oh, that would have been a miss anyways. I was gonna say I thought it was gonna be a win, but all right, December, we usually stop on December 15th, which is now, so that's it for the year. It's a very small amount of trades in this year, to be honest with you. I don't know if we've had this little. We've only had 6, but that's what we have so far. Let's see what that brings us in terms of the overall strategy. So let's take a look at that. And that brings our total to a 38.3% win rate, 205 trades, 85 break-even trades, 59.75%. So around a 60R gain so far, and we are only halfway through the pairs. We've got a bunch of pairs left, I believe. We've only done a couple. Let's see, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, we're a little bit over halfway. So we've got 12 pairs left. At this rate, that should bring us to around 80 to 100R for 2016 if it keeps going like that. So that's solid. That's definitely solid. If we can get to 80 to 100R in 2016, and then we calculate an error margin because we make some mistakes here and there, that's going to be perfect. That's a really good result. There's nothing to complain about. Even if you're able to make anything above 25R, really is extremely good. A lot of people forget that too. There's people who go to college for 4 years to study real estate, only to maybe flip houses and maybe get like a 10-15% return max. And then in trading, some people expect to make 300% every single year within 6 months of studying. Which is why so many traders fail in general, by the way, because there's so many traders who fail because they just don't understand that it's all about longevity. And as soon as they take a couple of losses, boom, they start crying. They don't know what to do, etc., etc. It's crazy. That's just the way that it works. Now, you know what's crazy too is if you look at the amount of people, I've asked a couple of people randomly who messaged me on what's it called? Discord, about their results, about their trades. And then I asked them a couple of questions. I asked them, do you have at least 1 or 2 years of data? And what do you know? Usually people answer no. Have you stuck to one strategy for a full year without any changes? The answer is no. Have you gone without other people's opinions for a full year? And the answer is also no. So it makes sense if you're not profitable, right? I mean, who would be profitable if they had 0 data on their strategy, if they hadn't stuck to a strategy for a single year without any changes, and if they're constantly affected by other people's opinions? You got to ask yourself, this is a really important question that I tell a lot of people. Would you invest in you? And I think this is a really good one. Would you invest in yourself, knowing that you really haven't put in the work? If I'm investing my hard-earned capital into a trader, into any sort of investment, I want to make sure they've got a bunch of data to back it up. I want to make sure they're level-headed, they know what they're doing, they're on the right track, they've got a bunch of data, they've stuck to it, they've done it for multiple years. I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to invest in a company that literally started 2 months ago that doesn't really know if what they're doing works because they don't have any data to back it up. You would much rather invest in a company that's been around for a long time, that has a track record, that is known to be profitable, that is known to have a profitable business model. So you got to ask yourself, would you invest in you? Would you invest in yourself? And I can guarantee you, if we're being honest here, 99.9% of traders on the internet, their answer would be no. And the majority would be lying if they said yes, because let's be honest, not a lot of people have 2 years worth of data. Not a lot of people have even stuck to a strategy for more than a couple of months. So yeah. Sugar says thumbnail of your YouTube videos looks better now. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. But you know, that's just what I wanted to mention. I mean, it's important to understand, really, because a lot of people, their answer would be no. If you were to ask them, have you gone without people's opinions for a full year? No. If you stuck to a strategy for a full year? No. Do you have at least 1 or 2 years worth of data? No, because the majority of people, they'll test one pair, they'll test euro dollar, and it doesn't come out profitable. And what do they do? They start making changes. They start throwing it all out the window, and they mess things up because they don't understand. And they go to the next course, the next community, the next guru that tells you that you can make 95% every single month and that he's got a 100% win rate. And a lot of people just fall for that. So please don't do that. All right. Thanks, guys.